Guys, what's up? Today I want to do a review of the band Diamoth and the album Exhibition of Reality. Now, first off, I want to say that this is all done by one guy, and he has like 22 different things coming out, and he does them all. His name is Zwei, and he's a very, very talented musician, and he does all the work on this. And he does all the musicianship on this, and he's in a ton of other bands, and so props to him. You know, he's really talented. I think he's a psychologist on the side or something like that, and yeah, so very talented guy. Glad to be doing this review. So what can you expect from this album, right? That's what people want to know, is because they probably haven't heard much of it, and they want to know what it's like. So I can say that it's definitely not pretty. By that I mean the musicianship is good, the components that I'm going to measure on categories for how I rank this is going to be good, and there's not a whole lot wrong with it. However, it's not a pretty album. It's about as death metal as you can get, I would say. It's really sort of grungy, sort of dirty, sort of dark, and the music and the vocals both reflect this. Now, notably, what I want to say about what this guy Zwei does is he strings along rhythms. You can hear it in the guitar, how he strums along rhythms with the guitar. Do 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 do, sort of like that, and then he sort of plays the same part over and over, but then adds in other things a little bit into it, and that's kind of the way this album plays out. If you're looking for something super melodic, like a melodic death metal, this is not melodic death metal. This is just plain death metal. The vocals are grungy, the vocals are dirty. There's no clean vocals in this, and it's mostly just a dark representation of what this guy is doing. And in his, I have to say, the first track off the album is actually pretty cool, because I read along in the lyrics and I was like, I don't get what's going on here. But then I remembered, oh, this guy's a psychologist, and then it made perfect sense to me how this guy is talking about some matters of the subconscious and how it plays out in reality, and that's according to his worldview that he's a Christian. So he's a Christian artist, and he's doing these really heavy releases, and I have it on good authority that this is his best production. He's had the best production for this album, which is the extinction or exhibition of reality, than he has for any of his other releases. And that's nice to see, because this guy really is quite talented. So as far as rhythm or keeping a backbeat, you can do this pretty much throughout all of his songs. Pretty much every one of them is pretty, I don't think he changes time signatures a whole lot, and I think he's more based in the rhythm-based note kind of presentation. So first category being rhythm and backbeat is a pretty good score, I would say. The next category would be rich and complex. Maybe he gets a little dark there, just a bit, because it's not as complicated. But you got to remember that this is one guy doing everything, so I don't want to be too hard on him that way. But fair's fair. It's a album review, and I gotta judge based on what I have rather than based on sympathies of certain things. So he gets docked a little bit on rich and complex music. However, I will say that not much, because it's all fairly dynamic, I would say. The way he plays and strings these rhythms along, it sounds pretty good. I would say if you're into death metal, if you like that sound, it sounds pretty good. Next, as accordance to scales and music notes and things like that, um, not sure if I can dock him much on that. He seems to be playing a lot of scales that go up and down and sort of thing. So maybe you dock him a tenth of a point or something like that. This is on a 2-point scale. So maybe I'll dock him, a point two or something like that on that. Yeah, so not much to take away there. Now, as far as composition, I really think that I can't take anything away from him on this one. He lays out everything fairly well, and I think he has an advantage here because he's doing everything himself. So because he's doing everything himself, he knows where he wants to put exactly this, exactly that, exactly that. And it all sort of plays really nicely together, I think. One of the benefits of having a solo artist do everything in their project is that they know exactly what kind of sound they want, they know exactly what kind of vocals they want, they know exactly the kind of feel that they want from the music and from the whole ball of wax. They know what they want out of it, so they don't have to really bicker and fight with other bandmates on, well, should we play it this way or should we play it this way? It's just like, okay, let me think. Yeah, it would probably be good like this, like that, like that. Yeah, that's how I'll do it. So that's more or less how I see that working out with one guy doing everything. Now, as far as listenability, this is a complex one because I'm saying that it all sounds fairly good, but you kind of have to like death metal to like this music. I will say that because when I first started listening to it, I didn't really like it that much. But then as I spent more time listening to it, I decided, yeah, this is pretty good music. I do kind of enjoy this music. I enjoy the way it's played out. I enjoy the dirty feel of it. I enjoy the dark kind of ominous feel that the music gives to everything, and that's really the way I would view this album, is a dark look at Christianity. Exhibition of Reality is a dark look at that, so that's interesting. So overall, I'm gonna dock him a slight bit on the backbeat or the rhythm. In terms of rich and complex, I'm gonna dock him another 2.2, and then on the notes, can't really dock him anything. Might dock him 1, and then in terms of composition, can't dock him at all. And then listenability, because it's not a pretty sound that you want, that some people like. It's not pop music, it doesn't have that pretty sound. So this is something that, unless you're into death metal, you're not going to like it, so I dock it another 3.5, 4, something like that. In terms of the vocals are fairly straightforward in terms of how they sound, like death metal. It's very a death metal sound that they have in this album. You can't really understand what he's saying, and that's kind of just what death metal is like. At least I can't. Now, I'm getting better at understanding what people are saying but usually my head goes straight to the music. And I will say that the way the vocals play out is fairly in line with the music, and like I say, and try to guess in pretty much all my reviews, is does the lyrics come first or does the music come first? For this guy, it's just one guy doing it, so you gotta imagine they're both coming at mostly at the same time. You might write a little bit a lyric here or a lick there or whatever, and then it just kind of goes together, and he matches stuff up with each other. So for an overall rating, I'm gonna give it probably an 8.9, I would say. That seems to be a fair rating for this. Just below some of the stuff that I really like, but ultimately pretty good stuff. So that's the thing, that when you look at my rating of that stuff that I give, you have to kind of look at what I rate other stuff to really know what that means. Alright, because I like a lot of music, and I like to give stuff good ratings, as long as it's not terrible. And so, yeah, 8.9, that's what it's gonna be. Well, guys, that was my video on the Exhibition of Reality by Diamoth, one guy named Zvi, and that's gonna wrap up the video. So until next time.
And there is a greater